Hello, dear friends. Come sit with me for a little while. I want to share a story that always makes me smile and sometimes brings a tear to my eye. It's the kind of story that reminds us love has a beautiful way of finding its way back home, even after many, many years. Her name is Evelyn. Most people who know her call her Evie. She's 74 now, with soft silver hair and kind eyes that still sparkle when she talks about the past. Back in 1968, when she was just 17, Evie fell in love with a boy named Thomas. They met in high school in a small town in Pennsylvania. He was the quiet, thoughtful type who played guitar, and she was the girl with the bright laugh who wrote poetry in her notebook during lunch. Their love was simple and sweet, the kind you see in old movies. They'd walk home from school together, holding hands, talk for hours on the porch swing, and dream about the future. Thomas even promised her that one day he would build her a little house with a big garden. But life doesn't always follow our plans. After graduation, Thomas joined the Navy. It was during the Vietnam years, and he felt it was his duty. Evie was heartbroken, but she promised to wait for him. For 3 long years, she wrote him letters every single week, sometimes twice a week. She poured her heart into those pages, told him about her days, about her fears, about how much she missed him, about the future she still believed they would have. Thomas wrote back when he could. His letters were shorter, but full of love. He kept every single one of hers in a metal box under his bunk. Then, the letters from Thomas stopped coming. Evie waited and waited. Months passed. She was terrified something had happened to him. Finally, she received a short note from one of his friends. Thomas had been injured. He was alive, but he was coming home changed. He said he didn't want to burden her with his injuries and nightmares. He told her to live her life and be happy. Evie's heart broke into 1,000 pieces. She wrote one last letter, begging him to let her help, to let her love him anyway. He never answered. Years went by. Evie eventually married a good man named Richard. They built a life together, raised 2 beautiful children, and shared 38 quiet, steady years. She loved Richard deeply, but she never forgot Thomas. That first love stayed tucked away in the quiet corner of her heart. Richard passed away when Evie was 68. After that, the house felt very empty again. She spent her days gardening, reading, and occasionally looking through old boxes in the attic. One rainy afternoon in 2019, she found that old metal box. Inside were all the letters she had written to Thomas, and the few he had sent her. She sat on the floor and cried like a teenager again. A few months later, her daughter convinced her to join a Facebook group for people from their old high school. Just for fun, she said. Evie wasn't really into social media, but she created an account. And there, in the People You May Know section, was his name, Thomas. Her hands started shaking. She stared at the profile picture for a long time. An older man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He looked like the boy she once knew. only with silver hair and deeper lines on his face. She didn't message him that day, or the next. It took her almost 2 weeks to gather the courage. Finally, with trembling fingers, she wrote the simplest message. "Thomas, it's Evie, from 1968. I still have all your letters." He replied the same evening. "Evie, I can't believe it's really you. I kept every letter you ever wrote me. I still have them." That first message opened the floodgates. They started talking every day. At first it was careful and shy, like 2 teenagers again. Then it became deeper. They shared what life had brought them, the joys, the sorrows, the children, the losses. Thomas told her he had never married. After coming home from the Navy, he struggled with his injuries and PTSD. He thought he wasn't good enough for her anymore, so he let her go. He said he regretted that decision every single day for 50 years. 6 months after that first message, they decided to meet in person. They chose a quiet park in their old hometown. Evie was so nervous she could barely eat breakfast that morning. When she saw him walking toward her, time seemed to melt away. He was older, yes, they both were. But when he smiled at her, she saw the same boy who once promised her a house with a big garden. They sat on the bench for hours, talking like no time had passed. At one point, Thomas reached into his bag and pulled out the old metal box, the very same one where he had kept all her letters for 50 years. He said softly, "I never stopped loving you, Evie. I just didn't know how to come back." She cried. He cried. And then they laughed. Because after all those decades, they were finally sitting together again. Today, Evelyn and Thomas have been together for almost 5 years. They got married in a small ceremony with their children and grandchildren present. They live in a modest house with a big garden, just like he once promised. They don't run around like young lovers. They hold hands while watching the sunset. They read old letters to each other on quiet evenings. They cook simple meals and talk about everything and nothing. And every night before bed, Thomas still tells her, "Thank you for waiting, even when I didn't deserve it." Evie says that love in your 70s is different. It's not rushed. It's not about proving anything. It's about gratitude. It's about finally understanding how precious every single day together really is. She told me once, with that gentle smile of hers, "I thought my first love was lost forever. But love, real love, it has a way of circling back when the time is finally right. It just needed more time to grow wiser and kinder." Dear friends, if you're watching this and you have an old love you sometimes think about, maybe an old flame from high school, or someone you let go many years ago, please know this: it's never too late to send that message. It's never too late to say, "I never stopped thinking about you." Sometimes the most beautiful chapters of our love stories are written much later in life, when we least expect them. If you have your own story of rekindling an old flame, or if you're still carrying a torch for someone from the past, I would love to hear it in the comments. Your words might give someone else the courage to reach out. Thank you for sitting here with me today and letting me share Evie and Thomas's beautiful story. If it touched your heart, please give this video a gentle thumbs up. It helps other kind souls find these stories. And if you're new here, welcome to Golden Hearts Horizons, a place where we talk about real love, real life, and the hope that it's never too late for a second chance. Take good care of your heart, dear friend. Be brave enough to love again whenever it feels right. I'll see you in the next story. God bless you.